This is J. Krishnamurti's second discussion with students in Malibu, California, 1968.
We were saying, weren't we, the act of learning is not an accumulated process of knowledge. Learning is one thing and knowledge is totally different thing. And knowledge leads towards more information, more expansion of consciousness, whereas learning goes beyond consciousness. We said, talking over together, that in learning about oneself, knowledge prevents this learning. Knowledge is obviously a conclusion, a series of conclusions, either directly experienced or accumulated as tradition. The whole structure of the past, adding, subtracting, but the whole process of it is the acquisition of knowledge. And if we are to learn about oneself, knowledge prevents the furthering of this learning. That's what we said. I think we all were more or less saw that point. I don't know how far you will have gone into it since then, but we can go on into it. Then also we said, didn't we, that our minds are conditioned, heavily conditioned, and to learn about oneself, a mind that is prejudiced in different ways, at different levels, with different depths of prejudice, such a mind cannot possibly look at itself and learn. Right? Because prejudice prevents learning. Prejudice is a conclusion. And so, we asked, is it possible for a mind to be free of all prejudice? I think that's where we left off, more or less.
So we went into a very long discussion about analysis.
Oh yes, oh yes.
Projective analysis.
Yes, sorry, I forgot. Sorry.
And then we got to that point where you said, do we all see that analysis is absolutely not only impossible, but completely
erroneous?
It is very mischievous. And then you said, having really repudiated analysis for all the reasons which you gave, peeling the onion skin by skin, going back to the infinity of time, having repudiated analysis, we have learnt something. We have learnt the full meaning of analysis. And if we've repudiated analysis as a means to uncondition ourselves, you said we would discuss today, having repudiated analysis, just what
Right.
could be.
I forgot that, quite right.
That was where we started.
Yes.
The thing about learning was in the beginning.
Beginning, yes.
As a means of looking at the problem.
Yeah. Is it possible to put aside all analysis In analysis, shall we go into that a little bit, or is it not worthwhile? In analysis, several things are involved. There is the division between the analyzer and the analyzed. Then, in analysis, there is this constant evaluation and conclusion, right? There is time process, because to analyze little by little involves time. Time being not the chronological time so much as psychological time. And to analyze, not only the conscious mind, but also the unconscious mind is involved in this analysis. I don't know if you're all right. Whether the conscious mind can ever possibly analyze the unconscious, or must the unconscious depend upon those moments or periods when the mind is somewhat quiet, as during sleep, to intimate its own content. Are we going too fast? So dreams become very important in the process of analyzing. And whether it is possible to analyze dreams, not dependent on the experts, but whether one can analyze it oneself, that also implies time. I dream tonight, and I analyze it very carefully, and I have no dreams perhaps for another week, again the same thing, and so on and on and on. That's at the end of 50 years, I'm just about dead. And so, do we see the implications of analysis completely, so that we can say, well, that's really false. It's not worth pursuing that at all. Can one do it? Honestly, not just verbally, theoretically, but honestly oneself say, look, I see the implications, where it leads to, what is involved in it. And therefore I reject it naturally, as I jump away from a precipice, from a dangerous snake. Can one do this? This requires a great deal of, understanding. It's not just a casual business of saying, I've got rid of it. This implies not only intelligence, but great sensitivity, which is intelligence. To be sensitive to the whole design, structure of analysis. What is implied in it? Though all the experts, Freud, Jung, all of them have said it is necessary. And the world accepts analysis, and also by saying we'll do everything gradually, change gradually. So the whole Asiatic outlook is the gradual change, which implies reincarnation. Therefore, next life I'll be better, and in umpteen lives I'll be perfect. I mean, it is something very, very serious to them. At least those who really go into it. Most of them it's lip service, it means nothing. Because if one really accepts that belief, then it matters very much how you live today. Because in next life you're going to pay for it. Or become a little better. So it matters very much what your acts are, what your behaviors are, and so on, this life. If you accept reincarnation. So the whole of Asia accepts this belief, and the Christians accept it in a different way. And the experts, anthropologists and all those, say gradual evolution is necessary. We have evolved from the ape now, where we are now. We must have more time to evolve further. Gradually change from violence to a state of mind in which there is no violence at all. And that will take time, evolutions, pressures of society, all that's implied. Can we reject all this? And to reject it, we must be capable of discussing and pointing out to the experts. You know what I mean? Not just, well, I'm free of it, like that's just a fanciful thing. So in understanding this process of analysis, the mind becomes extraordinarily sharp. The other way it doesn't. So that's one of the problems in it. Then can the mind see the whole implications totally, what is involved in analysis, and thereby reject it totally, not partially. So that raises a question whether a mind is capable of seeing anything totally. Or sees only fragmentarily, fragments in fragments, and puts the fragments together, then comes to a conclusion, which is not total perception. Right, sir? So what should we discuss now? Go into, which is total perception. I think that
we were discussing conditioning and the fact that we are conditioned, and if we've rejected analysis as a means of unconditioning ourselves, then we must surely ask whether there is any other way of unconditioning.
Yes, all right. Yes, all right. You ask, or you discuss. It isn't one person talking. We're discussing together. One realizes one's mind is conditioned, prejudiced, like and dislike, the whole of it, conditioned by climate, food, clothes, propaganda, the TV, television, everything has conditioned it. And if analysis is not the way to uncondition it, is there any other way? One cannot find the other way unless I reject the analysis. I can't have one foot there and then try to see if there is another way. I can only find the other when I reject what is the accepted tradition of change.
Accepting I can accept an analysis not being the way to look at problems, but in my own life I see changes happening which appear to me to be slow and gradual, and I look at myself and say what I see appears to be gradual change, and therefore it's hard for me to reject it. Maybe these are big changes that happen, a little bit here and then nothing happens a little bit. But looking back, it's pretty spectral.
Shall we go into that, or which comes to the same thing, doesn't it?
The question is what the fact is, having rejected analysis,
I'm not at all sure. I'm not at all sure one has rejected it. Here it is.
Is he saying so that because he sees that there were certain changes, perhaps analysis brought them about?
Yes, or he sees changes are gradual.
But that's the whole thing that we are analyzing, the fact that this great big stream of conditioning does change all the time. We do become a little more good or a little less good according to some idea of what good is. And the whole of life, conditioned life, is a long, steady change, and that is evolution. So that that only proves that doesn't prove anything. I mean, that doesn't mean that little changes here and there, little changes more or less on the periphery, on the icing of the cake, don't make for a different cake.
But can't there be moments of observation?
Another question altogether.
In other words, in his life there was gradual change, but there may have been moments when he had observation, not merely analysis.
Yes.
Wouldn't we say that there would never be change in the outside the conditionings, unless one were out of it? In other words, could change just occur without our doing anything about it? Just
always change within the frontiers of our conditioning.
as long as we're conditioned, is change always within that?
Of course, that's what we call change.
Steady growth or decline.
It's all within this diameter, within the periphery of our conditioning.
So if I am the conditioning, how can I see it?
That's one of the questions. How is it? I don't know if you want to go into it very much deeply. I'm conditioned, but let's take little by little. I'm conditioned. as a Hindu coming from India, I'm conditioned. And I've lived with that conditioning for 20, 30 years, or 50 years. And you come along and say, look, you're conditioned. I reject your statement. I say, no, that's natural. That's inevitable. That's the way of life. But if I want to examine what you're saying, that I'm conditioned, how do I become aware of my conditioning first? Right? How do I become aware of my conditioning? What tells me I'm conditioned?
Somebody else who's conditioned differently.
Does comparison indicate my conditioning? Go slow. Go.
Parts of it.
No, sir. Do look at it slowly. Go. Take quiet, slowly. I compare. You have traveled all over the world, and I live in a potty little village. And I see you have great, wide experience, and I have a small experience. Do I become aware of my conditioning by comparing myself with you? Is not all comparison the very nature of conditioning? Well, I won't go into that. Huh?
Yes, it's prejudice.
What's that?
Comparison would be prejudiced. You'd have to have a conclusive point of view to begin. To compare.
Exactly. So, how do I become aware of my conditioning? Through outside influence?
Can conflict cause you to look at it?
I'm asking, I don't know, you find out. How do I find out I'm conditioned? How do you find out that you're conditioned as a Christian?
Compared to someone who's conditioned as
How do you? Look what happens when you compare. You are comparing your conditioning with my conditioning. And thereby aware of your own conditioning? No, you're...
So I think one can be aware of parts of it. If you go to India and you see the fuss they make about Diwali, and then you can suddenly say, my God, we make the same fuss about Christmas, how absurd.
Yeah.
And then you see that the whole thing is a great big racket.
Wait, sir.
And then
Why do you want to compare? Can't you see something directly and say that's rubbish? Instead of comparing. I don't...
But you're automatically making a value judgment if you say something is rubbish, and you can only make
No,
a value
it's not,
judgment
I
by
mean, it's not a
No,
judgment. It is rubbish. I mean, it's silly.
garbage.
But if it's part of you, you can't reject it as being rubbish. This is the way you are. Not as long as you're still within the conditioning.
Probably, sir. I'm putting it too much. Let's go slowly. How is one aware of one's conditioning? Through measurement, comparison, being told. You follow, sir? Follow this slowly. Being told, which is comparison, which is outside influence, and so on. Huh? Are you told when you are hungry that you are hungry? You know you are hungry. Nobody needs, you don't have to compare. Right?
Can we look too and just see the contradictions in our life? Like you come in front of a tree and you realize that your mind never stops and looks at the tree. You can just feel your mind keeps going on. Spinning
Quite right.
thoughts.
Quite.
So we can attribute to conditioning, but that's just a word. That confusion has to come from some place.
Either I'm told I'm conditioned and therefore change, or I become aware of it, or I'm aware of it without being told. The two things are entirely different. The one is second-hand awareness. The other is a direct perception. As I'm hungry. Nobody had to tell me that I'm hungry. Right? So, can I be aware of my conditioning without being told?
Is what you're saying then is then knowing it by looking into myself rather than knowing it by looking at other things?
Surely.
You can see yourself as you really are.
Well, isn't it possible to see like the whole world, the whole realm of cause and effect? If you see it in yourself, the patterns are evident by your reactions without that become repetitive.
All right, sir. You find out for yourself that you are conditioned, right? Then how do you proceed to uncondition that? Right? Let's take, right? I'm conditioned. I'm aware that I'm conditioned. Either somebody has told me or I found it out for myself. Through direct perception, through watching the world, you know what I mean? Nobody has to tell me I'm conditioned. So, then I realize I'm conditioned. Then how am I to uncondition this mind? What is the mind to do to uncondition itself?
One problem is we see that unconditioning as a goal. We're always conditioned to be goal-oriented, so then we see the state of being unconditioned as a goal, something to be achieved, and then we want to use time as a means of getting there, instead of just observing the condition.
The goal, sir, is why do you have a goal? How does a goal, an end, a purpose come into being?
Well, I suppose to escape from what I am, so I posit an idea.
Exactly. So it's another form of conditioning.
But even if I see that intellectually, that seems to be the trap with our mind.
Of course. So here I am. I want to uncondition myself. Is it possible? How am I to do it?
By realizing, I think first of all, that when I say I, there's really no I, it's just a fragment.
Wait, go into it, sir, go into it. I say I must change. I must. So, what is the factor? What is the energy? What is the nature of this recognition of conditioning and the demand that this conditioning be broken down? How does this? What is the mind to do?
What is the question? How does the mind see its conditioning, and in what way does the mind ask for?
What is the, sir? Yes, the mind is conditioned. How is it to uncondition itself? Let's be simple about this.
It must rid itself of viewpoints, ego points.
Tell me how to do it. What am I to do? I come to you and say, look, I'm conditioned. I'm conditioned as a Catholic, as a whatever it is, communist. What am I to do? How am I to get out of it? Huh?
Can you ask that? Each time you ask that, as soon as you say that, you're changing the conditioning. As soon as the mind asks, can it be reconditioned?
No. I want to be unconditioned altogether, not just reconditioned to somebody's pattern.
Well, it still holds true even if you say you want to be unconditioned. The moment you say you want to be unconditioned,
No, sir, I'm just, that's a way of speaking. That is, all right, let's be a little more.
If you see that you're dirty, you say, I want to be clean. I mean, you see that it's
You can do nothing except see,
Uh-huh.
except see that you're part of the condition. Because it seems that every time you try to be not conditioned, then aren't you just deviating? Isn't that just a conditioned mind?
Can't the mind do it at all?
Can the mind do it at all?
Sir, it would seem to me that this very situation here right now, this informing conditioning, that we now are expressing here a condition, and then to commune with this particular condition here right now, in a way would be a way of experiencing the condition in its totality.
Yeah, look, sir, I'm conditioned as a Hindu. I'm conditioned as a specialist. I'm conditioned as, dozen ways, layer after layer, layer after layer, I'm conditioned, right? There's this, the whole of my mind is conditioned. Then how is the mind to break through this? We said, will the analysis of uncovering layer after layer of its conditioning, will that free the mind from all conditioning? So we said no. I mean, that may be mere verbal statement, but if you've gone into it, you might say, well, I reject it. Then what has happened to the mind that has rejected one of its major conditionings? You follow what I mean? It has rejected a vast tradition. Then you reject analysis. Right? And therefore the mind has already acquired or learned of a different freedom from what has been. I don't know. Huh?
It's already becoming unconditioned.
It has already, not becoming unconditioned, it has already
rejected simply one of the stock remedies against conditioning.
Therefore, the mind.
Necessarily less conditioned.
No,
Only
but
take
the
out
mind
one
has.
skin of the onion.
No, but the mind has learned something enormous
Yes. About itself.
about itself.
And that's what we're seeking.
What does that do to conditioning? Because there's a great deal more conditioning besides the belief in analysis.
Yes, sir, of course.
There's all the
You
conditioning
go on,
one
sir,
has
discuss
collected
it, sir.
in
Why?
59 years.
But when the mind sees its own conditioning in operation, isn't the seeing of that conditioning, whether it's one conditioning or another conditioning, isn't the seeing of that conditioning your own conditioning? Doesn't that automatically reject it? Take this example of comparison. As in India, and I as a European see an Indian, I make a comparison. When I'm aware that I'm making that comparison, isn't that conditioning in operation? And when I'm aware of it, I see that conditioning?
Yes. All right. And we'll slowly go on that way, one conditioning after another. You asked a question, something, and then you went away beyond it. You went by it. That he said, can the mind be aware of the totality of its own conditioning by being aware of one of its conditionings.
Well, one is all, isn't it?
I mean, don't go slowly. You asked. You're saying, if I am aware of one conditioning, am I not aware of all conditioning? Aren't you?
Well, conditioning is conditioning.
Yes.
You might
There,
be aware of the formula of conditions.
no, sir, she said, listen to what Miss Lillifeld said. I am aware of one conditioning. Right?
Well, conditioning is conditioning.
Therefore, by being aware of one, I am aware of the total thing. That's all you are saying.
I'm aware of the structure of conditions.
Yes.
But I'm not aware every time I act in a conditioned way, not necessarily.
No.
I'm aware I am.
You speak about rejecting it. One can be aware, but regrettably it is not always a total process.
You use the word reject merely to put away. When I'm aware of danger, I don't come near it. What are we trying to discuss now?
Trying to find out what we do when we know that we are conditioned, and when we know that analysis won't get us out of it. And when we see that conditioning is mischievous because we have seen it.
If we don't meet something in analysis, what do we meet anything with? You say we reject the process of analysis, but surely intimations about ourselves continue to come to us.
Or please, you find out. Why do you ask me?
Analyzing, I see myself always wanting answers. If I see a condition that I'm in, or a feeling that I have, or something like this, I say, oh, that's this. Just reaching conclusions, I guess, which is...
But if you recognize the structure of reaching for conclusions, if you recognize the formula, then you can start to dismiss that, to reject that, I think.
There were two things. She said, if I see one conditioning, I've seen it, and I've seen all conditioning. Then he said, if that happens, then I've simply seen the mechanism and the structure of conditioning. The question then might be, are there not? Conditioning is, after all, a way of responding. The fact of having seen one conditioned response, and therefore rejecting it, invalidating it, seeing it as a condition. The question is, am I going to somehow wipe clean the potential to respond in a conditional way ever after? And aren't there responses which are extremely subtle or extremely deep-rooted in the emotions or in the feelings, which even the understanding that they are conditioned will not wipe clean? Perhaps that's...
Go on, sir. You will see.
You mean the awareness of the conditioning can be conditioned?
No, I don't mean that. I mean, I see that I'm conditioned in a certain response. And I say, how silly, and I stop doing it. For instance, wearing the veil if I'm a Muslim woman. I leave India and I see that it's so silly and I stop wearing a veil if I'm a Muslim woman. Then I see the whole structure of the conditioning which made me wear a veil as a Muslim woman. And that falls away. And I've understood conditioning with regard to the veil. Your question was whether, having understood that conditioning, I haven't understood all conditionings, and whether they won't all fall away. He said, then, having understood that one conditioning, I've understood the structure of conditioning, which is the same in every other conditioning. But have I wiped clean every other conditioning by understanding one conditioning? Or have I simply understood the structure of conditioning, the way it happens, and the absurdity of conditioning.
So we may be asking wrong questions altogether. I'll show you. I've got it. The brain is conditioned, right?
Yes, yes.
It must be conditioned.
Yes.
For 2 million years, it has been conditioned to find security, to function this way. You know, I mean, for 2 million years, it has been conditioned, and I can't reject that. It would be absurd to reject it.
To reject the fact that it's conditioned?
It is a fact, it is conditioned.
Or to wish it otherwise.
Otherwise. So, to say it must uncondition itself is wrong. What it can do is the brain, when it meets a new challenge, when it meets something new, keeps quiet.
Conditioning doesn't
Act at all. I don't know if... Leave analysis for the moment. See, sir, the brain, yours, mine, has been conditioned to function in a certain way for 2 million years. From the ape and so on, so on, so on. And that conditioning is mechanical. I see a snake, I jump. And I see the earth moving, and I want safety. And it's conditioned to look after itself, to be careful not to get... Conditioned. The brain cells themselves are conditioned.
Could you distinguish between, is this true when you speak of the mind in both the conscious and the unconscious?
Of course. All that the brain is that, conscious and conscious. So it's conditioned. Right?
If something which is conditioned, can something which is conditioned uncondition itself?
No. The brain can't uncondition itself. Because whatever it does is conditioned.
And if it sees that?
Wait, sir. So it says, I won't ask questions about unconditioning, but can this brain be alert and yet not interfere?
Can the conditioning act when it has to, not act when it has to?
Yes, that's all.
Is that a conditioning? A form of conditioning?
No, he asked a question. Listen. Go ahead, repeat.
When I have to write a letter, I've got to be conditioned else I can't start. If I don't know my telephone number, I can't communicate. So he's asking whether it's possible for the brain to be conditioned when it has to be conditioned, when it has to function in memory, and not to be conditioned, not to let conditioning act when conditioning is not called for.
When conditioning is not called for?
Yes, when it's not necessary.
But then isn't conditioning called for at a moment of observation at any time?
Conditioning is called for when I need memory, when I need the knowledge of memory.
So conditioning is memory, isn't it?
Yes.
Huh? Agree?
Yes, the memory either acts suddenly or
Memory. The memory of 2 million years. The tradition, the family tradition, the community tradition, the racial tradition, the family tradition. The individual experience and his knowledge, all that is the brain. Memory. From which all thought comes. So thought sees this and says, by Jove, can I uncondition myself? Wait, it says that, because somebody says, uncondition yourself. And I'm silly enough to say, can I? It may be a wrong question altogether.
So the question should be, can I just
No, wait, sir, don't. If I put a wrong question, I find a wrong answer. So I won't ask a wrong question. I've learned that. Right? I won't ask a wrong question. Therefore, I'm searching the right question. Right?
Is the right question how to experience something
And
without and say I don't need the past at all. I don't.
I need the past. Otherwise, you can't go to your house.
Okay, but you don't need that past when you look at the rug.
Therefore, when you look at something, why should the past interfere? You follow, sir? Can I look at you who have insulted me yesterday without the memory of yesterday? Right? The memory of your insult is my conditioning, is the conditioning. Right? Right, sir? So memory operates when I meet you. Say, by Jove, he insulted me. And I don't like him.
Isn't that memory operating to protect yourself?
Partly. And also because dozen reasons. It has. I can go into detail why it does. So, memory prevents a new approach to you when I meet you. When I meet you with that memory, I don't meet you. I meet the image of yesterday. That's clear. So,
That image of yesterday might be most useful and necessary.
Oh, maybe.
There are people that one can only meet with the greatest prudence if one is...
Of course.
Like a snake.
Like a snake. You need that. So I have found out something, right? Memory is essential. To go to a house, speak, to write, to function technologically as an engineer, as a scientist, doesn't matter. I need that memory. But that memory prevents, which is image, prevents seeing you anew each time. Right? So can that brain be quiet so that it looks at those hills for the first time?
Would it be useful to be able to differentiate in what areas this is a useful, necessary tool, memory, and in what areas it leads us?
I'm telling you, no area. I see those hills. I've seen them 100 times. With certain memories, associations, in the certain light, and all that, with people, with companions, and so I've seen that. And there is a pleasant memory of it. Right? And with that memory, I looked at those hills again. It is not the same. So,
You might need at that moment if you were finding your way.
that's it. Therefore, I'm finding out. I say,
Where is it useful and where is it not? If we could see that.
but we are pointing it out. Memory is necessary. Absolutely necessary.
But we all have it all the time. We don't know how to get rid of it.
I'm going to show you. Wait, sir, go step.
The tragedy isn't only that I look at the hills with the memory of the hills, but the tragedy is that because my children have mumps, and because I can't pay the rent, and because something else happened, I can't look at the hills.
Yes, sir, that's just it. No, wait, I'm to go simply.
These
Go.
things seem to cross over to, very subtly, to realms where they are not readily apparent.
So, not only, we said the employment of memory is necessary. In the family, when I go to a doctor, when I drive, memory is the background from which all thought arises, right?
And all feeling
All thought, the whole business, the whole mechanism. You are an engineer, sir, aren't you? Well, you have acquired knowledge about engineering, and when you think, that knowledge responds. The response is the thought, say by Jyotish, and so on and so on. That is necessary when you function as an engineer, right? But when you meet, I won't meet your wife, when you meet a friend who has insulted you or hurt you, you have the image of that friend, of that man, right? So that image prevents you from looking at that man anew, fresh, right? And so on, so on, so on, so on. So can this memory be dormant? So that I can look, so the eyes can see things differently. Not always the mechanical memory operating.
Say that example, I meet someone. Two things are happening at once. One is I say, that is the person I know. I know the person's name, I recognize, I respond.
Yes, yes.
There's also the psychological backlog of I like or I don't like, or something nice or bad happened. Well, now, you two instantly, both facets of memory are working. One is useful, and one is
detrimental. It's quite right. So
you can't stop them from coming either. You can't say now, the bad things, please stay away. I don't want you to come forward.
No. That's all true, of course. So go on, sir. Go into it, sir. I'm going into it. You're not.
Memory is never the result of a summons. Memory comes. It surges up. We don't say, now do I remember whether he insulted me yesterday or not? It comes with tremendous vitality, and we have no choice. And with that also comes all useful information. You know his name and whether or not.
I understand all that, sir.
So the question is, what
Look,
do you do about it?
look. My question is, the brain is conditioned.
Yes.
And it must be conditioned.
Yes.
It must remain conditioned.
Yes.
Otherwise I can't function.
Yes. There's no brain on it.
I mean, I can't function.
You fall on the precipice.
Yes, I fall, I can't even sit properly, walk. So the brain is conditioned and must remain conditioned. It can't be unconditioned. Right?
No, correct.
So, then what is the question?
The question is, how are we going to respond to life in such a way that the conditioning is not a detriment?
That's all. That's all the question. How can that brain, or go on, sir, go into it. So why should I?
The fact is that we cannot decide because
It's not a question of decision.
you can't
No,
say,
you,
"Oh, you
sir,
can
moment
decide."
you say decide, you've already put a wrong question.
Yes, exactly.
You're saying that a good quote, good and bad thing are happening at once. One has to have the perception to use one for the useful purpose and to reject the other.
You can't reject it, it's there. You've got to reject it before it comes. It's like rejecting a
Sir.
child's born. I mean, you can't say, I don't
No,
want
take a very simple example. It may be silly. You look at that tree. Can you look at that tree without the whole mechanism of thought operate? Wait, just a minute, sir. Take slowly, bit by bit.
So, if the tree doesn't evoke tremendously strong feelings, yes.
Wait,
The
sir, I'm
tree might
coming
be
to that.
somebody who owes me money.
Sir, I'm coming to that. Sir, don't go to the man yet. Here is something. The tree. Can I look at that tree non-botanically? Right?
Yes. Yes, we all can.
I doubt it.
We all do sometimes.
And that's not sometimes isn't good enough.
Yes, you can, sir.
Can I look at that flower without memory, thought, association, all that precipitating itself. That's fairly easy, isn't it? I can do it. Right, sir? Huh? Now can I do it inwardly the same way when I observe something which touches me deeply? You have said something to flatter me. Hmm? And I like being flattered. So, can I look at you without that memory of flattery? Because what happens if I don't look at you that way, I remain with the past, with a stupid memory, and in the meantime you might have changed, you might have gone, you follow?
Yes.
I remain with the image, you don't.
Yes.
Right? So next, can I look at you without the image?
That's the whole question.
By some means you could merely be an observer.
Huh?
You could be just merely an observer, complete, to be receptive.
No, sir. Find out, sir. Take this simple thing. Can I look at my wife without the image? A 40, 50 years image.
So the fact is we don't.
And therefore,
So we can't answer whether perhaps we can.
no. I mean, I can look at the tree and I can't look at my wife in the same way.
Yes.
Or my husband, whatever it is.
When I discover when I discover that to look at my wife with the memory is the danger, I would only discover it if it's happened. So it's already too late. It's like the art critic. He always comes when you've made the picture. In the same way, if I discover conditioning, it's always acting.
No, sir. Just a minute, sir. Give it a little space before you ask a question. There it is. I can look at the tree because it doesn't matter very much. But I can't look at my wife or husband or you without the image. Why?
When I try to look at something like that, then I'm thinking about, am I looking at it like that? And then therefore I'm not.
Quite, sir. You see if you can look at yourself or your friend or your wife without the image. Find out why.
I've tried, but how can you know?
What do you mean? How can I know?
Well, in there, the mind isn't there. Isn't that right?
No, sir.
He says, what is to tell you that you've done it? Because there'll be no sign of having done it.
What do you mean, no sign?
If I look at something without the image, there isn't
I say, fine. No, I question.
There's no intimation that I've done so.
No, find out, sir. Go into it, sir. What happens when I look at... Now, all right, let's begin. I look at that tree without any image. What takes place? What actually takes place when I look at that flower without any thought, any image?
You see it for the first time.
No, sir, you're verbalizing too quickly. What actually has taken place in perception?
A new image is put in.
No, sir, please, sir, don't be so quick. Do look at it and see what happens if you do not have the image.
Your mind is quiet. You're quiet. Your mind is quiet.
Yes, go on, a little further into it.
Precisely.
I question if there's something there, wondering if you're looking at the flower now without an image.
But just see it, sir. Experiment with it. Look at that flower without a single word.
Nothing happens.
Wait, sir. Don't say nothing. You're too quick.
Whenever something happens, it's a response of memory.
No, sir. I'm sorry. I'm not going to leave this flower. don't you see, if you don't have the word, the flower more intensely?
I'm sorry.
Don't you see the flower more intensely, more vividly, more vitally when you don't have the word, when you don't have the knowledge, think all that memory.
The flower and everything goes.
No,
The word flower and goes, yes.
the flower word goes,
Yeah, that's what I mean,
Yeah.
flower association.
but the
But it-
thing remains.
Yes, it's-
Right, but it doesn't last. because
We
you're
did-
describing
we-
it, you see,
Do,
red,
for
red,
God's
ugly.
you're all too quick, go slow. See what happens, sir. Don't you see much more vividly? And wait, I'm not go- and doesn't the space between you and the flower disappear?
You become one with it.
And you see, you are all too go slow. You don't become one with the flower. You're not the flower.
All the screens of
I
being.
mean, therefore, see how extraordinarily difficult it is to look at something without screens. It is the screens that divide, right? And I'm saying, by Jove, how difficult it is to look at a flower, which is very not important, without the screens. And how much more intensely difficult to look at myself with 1,000 screens. So I've learned something, right? That's what we're starting, that to look at something like a flower without the word, without the botanical knowledge, without thought, makes the perception becomes much more sharp. No?
Well, I guess I'm too dull for it because I don't think I really come in contact.
That's all. That's all, sir. He's saying that, sir, not for you. He's saying, I don't really come into contact because I have the image, the screen between me. Right? And the drugs, all the various forms, bring the flower more intensely. There is a greater intensity, chemically. Right? And I say this can be done without the drug if you can remove the screens. The screens being the word, the like and dislike, the botanical knowledge, the memory, the pleasure of, if all that. And when there is the freedom from all that, then there is an extraordinary perception of tremendous intensity of color. And therefore, the division between the observer and the thing observed goes. Not that you become the flower. I don't. Do it, sir. Do it.
It happens sometimes.
And then, now, see if it can, not sometimes. See, then, if that is possible, the brain can then be quiet to look. Not only at the tree, at the mountains, at myself.
How is it?
Huh?
How
How
is it?
to do it?
Not how, but use
There it is.
Can I explain what happened? What I think happened to me? When I looked at that flower the first time, it was as if there was a screen already up.
Yeah.
Now, it isn't as if I looked at it and it was beautiful and the screens popped up and said good, bad, red flower. They were already there. It's like I carry them around all the time.
So,
And when I looked, and quietly building up.
That's right.
And, you know, there it was. It was my defenses, my words, my screens, my looking through the colored glasses, all the colored glasses went down.
Yes.
But what I think I learned from that is that I have these screens all the time.
All the
Everybody
time.
I look, they're
Quite right,
there.
quite right.
And it's only when I can feel I don't know, safe, secure,
When things don't matter.
Yes.
Yes.
yeah, then I can put the guards down, or the words.
Of course, of course.
The dirtiest word is security.
But that seems like not an effort, but that seems like it takes energy to, you know, I'm trying to understand this technique. I've experienced it many times in my life, but it seems to be a very quiet moments that it's hard to get people, you know, because there's only 2-3 screens that have to fall here.
Yes, sir.
100 screens.
But your memory then can say that is a, what is it? Magnolia or a hibiscus. You follow? Your memory remains.
Chameleon.
Yeah, that's right.
But that memory doesn't interfere when you look.
Right, the factual memory didn't interfere.
That's all.
So how do we distinguish?
Wait, you have done it. When the screens go down, you can look. But the memory of that, or the naming of that flower is there.
But it's not functioning, is it at that moment?
At that moment, it's not functioning.
It exists, obviously.
Of course, it must exist.
There's no problem in looking at the
Now, of course.
There's no difficulty in looking at the flower.
No, there's none at all.
There's a great deal of difficulty.
Yeah, that's just it, my relationship with the world.
The man who ran away with my wife, for instance.
That's
Quite
all the rest.
difficult to look at it.
You start with something.
It seems to me if I don't really see the flower, I must be in contradiction with it somehow. If I'm not really.
Right, right, sir. When you are divided, there is contradiction.
So what I have then is an image, which makes it appear as a vision. So all I have to do is see then that the image is me, that I am that image. And as soon as I do that, I feel like I'm blind, that the flower is really out there, but I'm not coming into contact with it.
That's right.
So it's like a blind man, he just has to stop. because
That's what we are
you can't
doing.
see when you don't see.
That's what most of us are doing. Blind leading the blind. So really, I'm not bothered about conditioning. No. See, I've discovered something. I'm not bothered. I see you're quite right. I'm conditioned. And that conditioning, I must make it very, very subtle. There must be subtlety, there must be freshness, there must be cleanliness, decency, all that. Culture and all the rest of it, so that I behave properly under all circumstances, and so on, so on. Then, when I look at something, the brain can be quiet. So perception is possible only when the brain is quiet. I can only see you when when my memory of you, my dislike or like comes to an end, is dormant. If I can do this with tree, with flower, why can't I do it with everything?
Because there's a much stronger
No. It is not much stronger.
It
And look at it.
It doesn't cost me anything to look at the tree, but it might. I say to myself, it might cost me a great deal to forget all that this man has done to me. So I'm much more interested in being wary than in seeing him in an unconditioned sort of way. The
Be
flower,
wary. Be wary of the.
I don't lose anything by looking at the flower, but I might lose. I say to myself, I might lose a great deal by looking at Dampion.
So I can look at you cautiously, knowing that you might hurt me, but I can keep that in the background, but I can look at you. You might change.
It's conquering fear.
No, sir, no, don't. No, you're complicating the thing. You see, for the time being, let's keep it simple and we'll learn lots more from it. I can look at the flower because it doesn't hurt me. I can't look at you in the same way because you might hurt me.
Or have done.
or have done it. Hmm?
What does hurt mean then? Hurt means
Not merely insulting.
Insult, hurt, you ran away with my wife, you have taken my money, you have...
Those things are all on an emotional level, but if the hurt is a precipice, is the dangerous snake, is the act of cutting, killing, destroying the organism.
Of course. So, go on, so look into
This
it.
conditioning then would be much more heightened, the survival condition, to look at somebody who could destroy you.
You see, survival conditioning, one of the brain's conditioning is to survive at any price, at any price. Otherwise, of course, I will be destroyed immediately. But that very conditioning to survive brings about its own destruction. No?
Yes.
I can only survive as an American. No, sir, see, my nationality, economic condition. You follow? This must be, I must survive in this way.
In no manner, though. I mean to speak only as a breathing organism, a living, breathing organism. When you say you approach the precipice and you fall, it's not as an American or as a Russian or as a communist or a junkie.
No,
You simply fall.
fall.
This is the survival that I mean to say, not on a nationalistic
No,
or emotional
physical,
level.
that's physical survival, yes,
emotional.
but also emotional survival. I want...
The emotion enters it as the ego is involved.
the whole thing,
Life
sir.
and death.
There's a physical survival.
But there's nothing
and-
American or Russian or
No,
Catholic or
no, but there is the emotional survival.
that too.
I just
that
did that.
fear just as strong. In many cases,
That's the fear that may be on the surface that we can see easier than the instinctual fear. perhaps. See, as I understand the question is how to approach somebody who has hurt you or who a situation, if not somebody.
Can I look at myself without any image?
Can you look at another?
No, begin with yourself first. See what is involved in how difficult it is. Because I have an image about myself. I am a good man, bad man. I am despair. I am not such good brains as you have. I am not. You follow beautiful, and so on, so on, so on.
If you keep that still.
And not can you do it? Not
Well,
theoretically.
if you do this with the flower,
Do it, sir.
I did it with the flower.
Yes, but now do it with yourself.
Highly difficult is that.
And that's what I'm saying.
Can you look at yourself at all? Is there anything to look at?
No, sir. If
Or
there
are
is,
you always looking
are
at
you,
ideas?
sir, do look. If you have no image about yourself, you have no image. What is there? Oh, this becomes too.
It's very important. If you look at yourself without an image.
Not yourself. Not, sir. If there is no image, what are you looking at then? And now,
If there's no image,
if there is no image about myself, what am I?
pure existence.
And no. You see, you verbalize it and lose everything.
things I have done and said.
You're just looking.
Huh?
You're just looking.
So there is what?
Attention.
No, sir, don't. I've looked at everything in my life with images. Right? As a Hindu, as a Christian, as a this, that, and 10 different things. Now I see how absurd that is, and I say, those images are dormant for the time being. Then, what is taking place? There's no resistance, no acceptance, no denial, but there is only perception, isn't there, that, as we've pointed out? Perception. Huh? I mustn't. You see, go. I don't know what I mean. You find out.
Because the perception of oneself.
I don't know. Please, I'm not here. What does it mean to look at, to be without image?
In looking at
No, to be with, no. I removed that. What is it to be without image? You have lived with images, right? Now, find out what it means to be without image.
To die.
And you fellows don't give it a... I'm not committed as an activist or as a communist or as a Catholic or Christian, Buddhist. I'm not committed to anything, which commitment means image committing itself to another image, right? So there is no image at all. With a flower, when I have no image, the color is brighter. The shape, the texture, the feeling, the look, and the space between that and the observer has gone. Right. When there is no image at all, then what is taking place? Is that possible, to have no image at all first? Huh?
There's no image maker.
That means I have to understand the image maker, how he makes images, why he makes images, and all that. And see how extraordinarily difficult it is to have no image.
Do you mean no image of yourself?
Beg your pardon?
Do you mean no image of yourself? Or no images at all? Just
About yourself and about another.
About what you're looking at.
I mean, if you look at yourself, if you're trying to look at yourself and without an image, then there isn't anything really to look at there.
So you are the image.
You can look.
No, you are the image about which we are making so much fuss. Huh? No, I mustn't go into this. You see, sir, unless we do this actually, not verbally, we can't proceed further.
There isn't really an answer to what are you in that way.
No, to what are you? There is, but sir, leave what you are. But what I'm saying is, one can look at that flower without the image. Now, can the mind be without any image? Which doesn't mean there is death. Image being conclusion. Right, sir? Prejudice, opinion, judgment.
Yeah. As to your question, though, what are you without any image?
Is there you at all without an image?
Well, I think there is, but if you define it and say, well, I am this, I am that, then that's an image.
Of course.
So there is no answer to that question.
No, there is an answer. No, my question is not what you are. Can the mind be without an image? Because if you have an image, then you are prejudiced. Either you become an activist or whatever is the opposite of that is.
There is something there. I don't know if you'd call it an image when the mind is in that state, if I'm correct about that state.
So, you might have found out that the machinery of making images has come to an end for the time being.
It's changed.
You're saying that the image making is coming to conclusions, but if you try to look at yourself, there is a great deal going on. It may not become an equation of something else, but nevertheless there is almost physical or neurological images. One is conscious.
I am not at all sure.
You mean there is a total blankness?
No. You see, that's what you're all saying.
I don't think there is, but I'm trying to see what you say are images, because surely
Look,
one isn't just...
I can see that flower without an image. Doesn't mean I'm blank.
No.
It doesn't mean I'm just vague. On the contrary, there's tremendous intensity. Right?
But there is a neurological something.
There it is.
One looks at oneself, apart from looking in the mirror. If one just sits and
I know.
has an awareness of oneself, there is...
No, Mrs. Zimbalist, do look. What has taken place here when there is no image, no screen between the observer and the flower, what has taken place?
There is a perception.
There is a perception, the color becomes more intense, everything becomes much more alive.
So what is that with regard to one's own...
Wait, my golly, see that first.
I think
See that. What has taken place there? That flower, everything becomes much more intense, doesn't it? The trees, the color of your shirt, jersey, it's... Now, which is what? There is no conflict, right? There is no division.
no associations, no...
Yeah, that's it. No conflict, no association, no... there's tremendous attention, right?
Extreme sensitivity.
All the rest, that. Does the same thing take place when I have no image at all. I can look at you or the hills with the same intensity. And there is no division. Now perhaps that is love. And if that is, then there is action from there. Instead of action of the screens, if
Yes, reaction.
so next Saturday when we meet, we can discuss this question of image making, why the images remain, and how difficult it is to get rid of an image. All right, we'll go into all that. Better stop now because it's getting